it takes, as you know, this is a cliche, it's a lot harder to say no than yes. And I think I've applied that all the way through the tailored man. And like you said, going back to when you said, what's the shittest job? There's no shit job. There's just different levels. Some are going to be more of a headache than others, but I still committed to that job.
Yeah.
And I still said yes based off the values that I was going for.
Yeah.
The one thing that's probably changed in the last couple of years is, and been a conscious decision from myself from probably 3-4 years ago. And like I said, it still goes back to when the Tailored Man started, where I used to cut my head off, is separating me from the brand. And that took time because people still, I'm the founder of the Tailored Man. And I even pulled you up on it when you put it in your caption on your Instagram post.
Right. Yeah.
Or your better half.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. Like, I've worked so hard to differentiate both brands of, okay, personal brand and the Tailored Man.
Yeah. You don't want it to be...
It's not about me.
Tailored brackets Dalton Graham man.
No.
It's the Tailored Man.
Correct. And like I said, I reckon I've featured out of however thousands of posts we've got done over the last 5 to 6 years, I would say that I would feature on those posts 5%. If that. I could probably count, and I can think off the top of my head campaigns where I've been in it.
That's a very hard... I could imagine, though, that would have been a very hard thing for you to do. With the, that perfectionist element coming through as well.
It wasn't that change of actually showcasing my face, which happened, the first trip was a trip to Europe with Aquila.
Okay.
Which is where me and Marty started the germophobia, and that was our first trip together, essentially.
Really?
Our first big overseas trip. It was a 3-week trip. It was a big job. Had multiple facets going on.
Where was it?
All across Italy.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. What did we do? No, London.
Yeah.
London and Italy.
Okay. How long ago was this? 3 years?
3-4 years ago?
Yeah.
2016?
I'd love to look that up.
Oh, you should. It's hilarious. That was the first time I really put my face out there. And that was a request from the brand. And I was like, And it was hard. I really tried to... I really pushed back on it. Like, I was like not comfortable with it. I was not comfortable with being in front of the camera and putting a name to a face.
Why?
Just it wasn't my goal. It wasn't what I wanted it to be about. So the question is, why did I do it? Well, it was to experiment with what it could work, but also when I was posting about it, I was actually directing traffic to my personal account. So it was a conscious decision to build my personal brand, you could have said, and it was. But also, it was conscious based off, no, we really want you to be in these photos. Oh, it's going to be so hard to... Like, how can you show Europe and the Paris and London and all the rest of it with cutting off my head and show the Eiffel Tower in the background? It does not work.
It'd be an interesting campaign, though.
And Paris was one, now that I remember. But, like, it just doesn't work. Like, or else you may as well just shoot it in a chair in a cafe in Melbourne.
Yeah.
So it was that was probably the first time I was like, well, we have limitations in what we can do based off this. But this is when we're going to start featuring other prominent males in society and start telling their story. So I quickly pulled away from it as soon as that trip was over.
Yeah, because that's one thing I got from what you guys do is sort of, it seems like you've, and this I think is your point of difference as well, is that element of storytelling. Like a lot of the brands... It's hard to tell because I don't want to generalize it, but I get a sense that it is a lot more editorial, where yours is like a narrative. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'm glad you've picked up on it because it's been a conscious decision.
Yeah.
Especially over the last couple of years.
And it's a lot more intriguing.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
It's advertising, but a story.
Yeah.
Now, we've done some incredible partnerships in the last couple of years, and to be honest, all of that, like I said, taking away from me, I've done, Hugo Boss tutorials on what to wear to work and what to wear to this, and done stuff with Tim Robards, Didier Cohen, things like that. And so many, like my videos, for instance, with Laura and some other talent, Michael Klim.
Yeah.
And that was, that my videos came about because my brand had built to a certain level and then ultimately led me to be the first male ambassador for the Fashions on the Field, which I felt very humbled to be as well.
Yeah. Was that sort of like a form of, I don't know what the word is, like recognition in a way, but for you it sounds like it wasn't that at all.
I don't look at it like that, but people would look at it like, hey, well, you achieved to build your brand enough to be positioned as a male authority in this space.
Yeah.
And you could look at it like that. I don't read it like that. Like and that's up to everyone else to make opinions, but I look at it as like, I wasn't working to that point. That opportunity just came out. If it didn't happen, I still would have been working in the same direction.
Yeah, it's like, who gives a shit? I'd continue going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it makes more testament now of sort of, well, I'm not really involving in that space much at all anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm still, of course, involved and doing things with Laura and all the rest of it. And of course, those things pop up, and they do pop up with personal gigs and all the rest of it. But a lot of that personal and that conscious decision to separate the two brands was, well, I have my life, and I'm not going to share my dog on there. I'm not going to share this. Like, the Tailored Man is its own thing. It's not a personal journey of I'm said person, like, that's me and this is my everyday antics. It wasn't that. It was a platform built that had a strong social influence, that had its website, has its blogs, its articles, its reviews, and all the rest of it. Similar to a GQ. Damage was one of the first around, and like he's done an incredible job.
Yeah.
And one of the first I used to read back, when I was 18, and he's been around in space for a similar sort of time, a couple of years before me. But it's one of those things where you had the strength in social, and Instagram, which was nothing at the time.
Yeah, it sort of sounds like you found this thing, and you've there's the obvious elements of you learnt to tell a story because you didn't want to be the face of it. You
had to tell it in a different way.
Yeah, had to tell in a different way, which in a way made you unique in your own way. And then you found this platform, which was Instagram, which for you it sort of seems as a natural born salesman, as you learnt from your dad. It was like, wow, this is a big deal.
Growth. Yeah, and hey, I can monetize this.
I can do other things.
Yeah, and Tailored Man has changed my life.
Yeah.
I would not have met Laura if it wasn't for the Tailored Man. And there's no direct correlation, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But I would not have had the opportunities in life that I have if it wasn't for the Tailored Man, or being first in the space. If I was to start the Tailored Man right now, it doesn't work. The space does. Instagram, the algorithm doesn't allow for it. It's saturated.
Yeah.
I started where there was no one. Okay, a few people overseas. Yeah, that worked, but I'm going to tweak it differently. But I don't want to be the same as Damage. I don't want to be the same as GQ. What's our point of difference? So our point of difference has to be affordable fashion, basic outfits. Now, it changed a lot in that 2 to 3 years. Website came along. We're going to do reviews. We're going to do food. We're going to do little bits and pieces. But the core element is that fashion advice. So those narratives and that storytelling, which was more of like first time I read my head was this trip. But the narrative was the trip, exploring Europe with Aquila. That was the narrative. Oh, we're in this city, we're in that city. And now you see it all the time. There's for meals, trips, influencers go everywhere, Coachella, whatever it might be. We'll pay you to go here, And that was really, like, in fairness, like Aquila were probably ahead of their time. Yeah. Probably one of the first to do it. Now, if that was a massive global brand, everyone would be like looking at that campaign saying, whoa, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, now they're doing it. And that's probably 2 years after it.